Us now from Washington with more on what to expect from that first face-to-face meeting between the president and his Russian counterpart. White House correspondent for the Washington Examiner, Sarah Westwood, with us. Sarah, good to see you. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
What are you looking to come out of this meeting? What should be spoken about, in your view?
Well, President Trump and President Putin obviously have a lot of topics to get to. Clearly, the situation in Syria is beginning to boil over. It was just 2 weeks ago that the Trump administration shot down a Syrian government plane for the first time, and Russia threatened to shoot down U.S. and coalition planes if they wandered west of the Euphrates. That was the greatest escalation of the American role in Syria to date. So clearly we're going to see some talk about Russia's support for the Assad regime. President Trump said so in his speech in Warsaw yesterday. Ukraine is another topic of discussion that we'll see between Putin and Trump. German Chancellor Angela Merkel brought that up to Trump yesterday in their talk, trying to get Trump to push Putin to abide by the Minsk agreements, which was supposed to get Russia out of Crimea. That didn't work. And obviously, President Trump is under tremendous pressure back here at home to bring up election meddling when he confronts Putin. There are some experts who think that it will be difficult for President Trump to move on to these other issues with credibility if he doesn't just put the election meddling issue to rest. So those are really the three biggest areas that we'll be watching to see how President Trump and how Putin try to get to some kind of resolution.
Yeah, I think the Syria and the Ukraine issues are a must come up. Don't you think, Dagan? I mean, these are the big two issues. Does he get criticized if he doesn't bring up the meddling in the U.S. election?
He gets criticized by people on the left, and because that is literally the only thing that they can talk about.
Right.
All these subjects can come up, but quite frankly, President Trump would do the U.S. quite a great service if he gives nothing. If he says he doesn't agree to even looking at anything, you discuss it, but you don't give it. One thing also, that the compounds that were shut down by President Obama at the end of last year, the 2 Russian compounds here in the United States, that Putin's going to want those reopened, and it doesn't sound like a big deal. You can reopen them. But it is largely symbolic. So Trump's answer on everything should be niet. Well, at least at this first meeting.
I don't know, but he likes to make deals, right? So if he gets a deal that's much better for him, then, much better for us than giving back these 2 bases. I think if it's better for the U.S., I'd be happy with the deal.
They will, but Vladimir Putin will not offer anything that is good for the U.S., and he will con you into thinking. He is an ex-KGB. He is going to try and play mind games. Later in the morning, I'll bring up something that Putin has done with Merkel and Bush with his dog.
Yeah,
remember he met with Merkel about 10 years ago. She got bitten by a dog many years ago and is afraid of dogs. And his giant black lab comes bounding into the room, and she was horrified. And he did a similar thing with President Bush. When Bush and the First Lady met with him in his dacha in Russia, his big dog comes bounding in, and he said, "Barney, this dog bigger, stronger, faster than Barney." That's what he does. He plays head games with people.
Right. That is it'll be interesting to see what he does on this during this meeting.
The video of the dogs is really funny because you're right. All it is an intimidation tactic.
He's trying to play games.
That's what he's doing.